An AI agent can finish your task and still forget your rules. Picture this. You ask it to reorganize next week's calendar, but add one standing instruction. Ask before changing anything. At first, it behaves. It proposes a move and waits. Then the conversation grows, old context is compressed, and the agent keeps working. The calendar change is made. The task is complete. The rule is gone. That scene is illustrative, but it captures the risk. Success can survive even when the contract does not. Context compaction is how long-running agents make room. Think of the conversation as an overpacked suitcase. Goals, tool results, decisions, corrections, and promises all compete for space. A compactor repacks that history into a shorter summary so the trip can continue. That is useful. The danger is in the packing decision. The mission is the clothes, what the agent must do. Standing constraints are the passport, how it is allowed to do it. Discovered state is the map, what it already learned. A suitcase can close perfectly after losing either one. A new paper calls these standing rules session constraints. Instructions like, do not delete emails until I confirm, that should remain active for the rest of the session. In its controlled compent benchmark, the compactors tested retained only 17% of injected constraints on average. That does not mean every deployed agent forgets 83% of your rules. The benchmark uses controlled, partly synthetic long contexts. But it exposes a sharp failure mode. The main task can look healthy while its guardrails silently disappear. The same paper's separate constraint-aware extractor retained over 90% across all three test settings, averaging 93.7%. The improvement came from giving rules their own ledger instead of hoping a task summary would remember them. Now comes the stranger bill. A second study asked what compression costs even when the agent still finishes. In a controlled 24-turn planning environment, one GPT 5.5 condition compared full context with 5 times sliding compression. Completion moved from 80 to 85%, a statistically unchanged result. If completion were the only score, compression would look harmless. But total tool calls rose from 39 to 82. Retrieval calls, the calls used to rediscover missing state, went from 21 to 63.9. Execution work stayed approximately flat. The agent did not suddenly do twice as much useful work. It paid a memory tax. Ask again, inspect again, reconstruct again. This is not a law that every shorter context causes more tool calls. Across the study's 6 model and regime comparisons, retrieval increased every time, with 5 increases remaining statistically significant. Yet in a second environment called ALF World, the surge disappeared. There, relevant state could usually be observed again with ordinary actions such as look, examine, or inventory. The cost appears when missing state is both important and expensive to reacquire. If the map is painted on the wall, losing the paper copy barely matters. So do not ask one summary to perform 3 different memory jobs. Keep the mission in a compact narrative, what is being done and what comes next. Keep standing constraints in an explicit registry that survives compaction, approvals, prohibitions, preferences, and safety boundaries. Keep discovered state in a structured ledger, IDs, decisions, dependencies, failed attempts, and facts that would cost tools to recover. Then run a small memory audit after compaction. What must remain true? Which actions still require permission? What did we learn that would be expensive to rediscover? A good summary is useful. A separated memory architecture is safer. And change the scoreboard. Measure task completion, but place a second receipt beside it. Rule retention, retrieval calls, repeated tokens, latency, and tool cost after compaction. A green checkmark can hide a very expensive detour. If completion remains flat while the recovery bill doubles, the compression was not free. It merely moved the cost somewhere the usual metric did not look. Compaction is not amnesia. It is editorial judgment under pressure. A good editor can shorten the story without deleting the contract or throwing away the map. So when an agent says done, ask 2 more questions. Which rules survived and how much work had to be repeated? Because if the task finished after your rules vanished, did the agent really succeed?